So we've been working out a lot lately, right? Like lifting them weights, kicking them taekwondo thingies. So speaking about lifting a lot of weights, we were talking this morning, and it seems like or let's get right into it. It's like, is Fender doing all the heavy lifting for Gibson for 50 years down the road?
No.
Right now? What do you think?
Probably.
I think they're doing a lot of heavy lifting. And now people are like, what are you talking about? And like, that's a good question because we don't really know in general. But so Fender has this whole plan.
Yes.
And they're all about, growing the amount of players in the guitar playing community, which is, amazing for everything. So we'll have more music.
It's a good thing. Right.
I think we'll have less war because I'm a crazy hippie in that respect. I think we'll have less conflict and we'll have people be happier. But it also helps sell more guitars, obviously, in the mind of a corporation.
Yeah.
And so they've been doing it through multiple ways. Fender Play.
Fender Play is a huge one.
And that has grown like astronomically over the COVID times. They started giving away. It was had a nice steady growth rate. Then they gave it away for free, like in March of last year, and it just blew up. Like
totally out of the goodness of their own heart. Yes and no.
Obviously you look at the corporation, like, no, they're doing that like because they see like the trajectory and they want to get more players, buy more guitars. But no, knowing Andy, and I've met him a few times. Like we don't have coffee. He's the CEO of Fender. I don't drink coffee, so read what in
gotcha.
But no, but he is like a super like passionate guy about.
I think there was good intention. Well, and I think, like you said, it's not like this weird insidious thing. They want people to play guitar longer, more people longer.
Yeah, they've done all the studies. Like they've had like groups that all the teachers across America like figuring out like what is the study rate, the quit rate. Like if you make it past 6 months, you're probably going to play guitar for the rest of your life. But the fail rate of a guitar player starting is about 90%.
Yeah, it's up there.
So only 10% of the guitar players make it through the first 6 months.
Right.
It's kind of like restaurants. You have more of a chance of sticking with guitar than owning a restaurant barely. God, that's depressing. But then, then they'd sort of done the numbers like, here's like the amount you're going to spend over the course of a lifetime on guitars, and if we can double that, it doubles the amount of buyers spending it. And so Fender's been doing this, and it's been awesome getting more young people into the guitar, getting older people in the guitar too.
We've seen a lot of that, especially this last year.
And I say older, like, our age, like 30s and up,
right,
are like starting guitar in record numbers, which is amazing. And a lot of that's thanks to all the online platforms, from Musician to all the indie guys like Paul Davids.
Yep.
And what's that guy with the beard that looks like you?
Oh, the acoustic letter guy. That guy?
Yeah, I can't remember his name. I just went blank. I'm sorry. I know who you are. I've watched your stuff. I just
no.
blank.
Z's going to be so disappointed in us.
We were not supposed to mention him.
Sorry.
Video.
We can. Every video I will mention Z. That's my new goal.
And then people realize he's not a real person. It's just this figment friend of ours. Yes. So we found that sort of interesting. That we were seeing like, oh, well, how is that for Gibson? Well, because then now the Signature Series guitars. So, Gibson isn't doing this like learning thing as much. They're trying to get an app, but it's pretty much Fender's app they just came out with.
But the learning, before we even jump to that, the learning thing, that benefits every guitar company, everyone who plays guitar, because if more money is being pumped in, there are better, maybe even more affordable guitars available for us, right? Because the more people playing, the more money that's there, we all sort of reap that benefit, I would say.
Well, yeah, the quality of like an entry-level instrument now is like light years above.
So way up. Even from when I started playing, probably you too. I mean, it's
like,
kind of astounding.
Like, who would have thought, like, whenever a Classic Vibe Squire shows up in the shop, we're all excited. It's like there's a shipment of Classic Vibe showed up. Awesome. Yeah. Like, back in those days, like, oh, Squires.
Squires, eh?
Cool.
Somebody's got to open them. Yeah.
Like, oh, my hand got cut from the frets or something. Now it's like, that was the Epiphone. Like, I played some 2 years ago. I was like, ouch. Some of the really low price ones.
Right.
But yeah, like the $99.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get what you pay for, unfortunately. But the Squires now are like, it's a different level. Like from the Bullet up to the Classic Vibe, it's a playable instrument.
Right.
And I love them. So, but then go on. Sorry.
So do we think? So I guess what we're positing, what we're throwing out there is Gibson sort of riding those coattails of that research and that push to get more people playing the guitar longer.
I think 100% yes. And not like a bad way. No. I just don't think they had the foresight to do it themselves because they were struggling to come out of bankruptcy and disastrous management for years. but also the corporate structure or just the culture of Gibson is a little bit different.
I would say so.
Because we were talking about, and this is sort of like, this is where Gibson kind of wins in some ways, and Fender sort of wins in other ways, but signature series artists, like the guitars, it was primarily talking about, let's say, like the signature series guitars they're coming out with now. Gibson kind of has like the coolest stuff.
It's true.
It's like a lot of that, and I just read this morning like Noel Gallagher's getting his own Gibson acoustic. I was like, that made that now I have to buy that.
Your life is made.
It might not even be good. It's probably terrible. I have to get it anyway. Like thud, thud, thud. I'll take two. Here's my one.
It's made it's woody. It's a woody tone. That's like, good for recording.
It's like Star Wars. Like, here's the one I keep in the box, and here's the one I play.
I play with this one.
I keep in the box. And I play with this one. No, but they always have like, and the Slash brand, and then they had Marcus King come out.
Yep.
Which is amazing. Which is super cool. And we love Marcus King. He's been to the shop. He's a phenomenal player and a really nice person, and he's so good. It's frustrating.
It's true.
All their acoustic model, like everybody plays a Gibson acoustic.
Yes.
And we were talking about why is, you don't see it the same way with Taylor.
Right.
And you don't see it the same with Martin, even.
No.
And you definitely don't see it with Fender acoustic.
Gibson has captured the cool vibe of the acoustic, right? Like everyone who I sort of love when I see them playing acoustic guitar, it's a Gibson.
They do have the cool vibe there. It's like hands down. Now Fender has sort of spent their signature series capital coming out with young artists, most of whom you and us have never heard of sometimes, and we have to kind of get out our young person's musical dictionary, the interwebs, and like, I like to do this instead. I'm going to do it this way, and try to figure out like, who is this person? Like, I mean, I know most of them because I try to stay hip, which is. Jonathan definitely does not.
I'm like a 90-year-old man. I don't know why. I just am. It's not my fault.
Yeah, you and Sean both sometimes. It's like he's like 20-something. I don't understand.
Yeah, he's worse than I am, perhaps.
He's like, have you seen the new Red Hot Chili Peppers thing? I'm like, that was 20 years ago that record came out that you're still telling me about. But no, it's so they're really on like young artists and trying to capture new players coming in.
Right.
And getting them excited, and that's not as much of a profit center either, because like when they come out with signature series guitar, like for let's say the Her signature series,
yep.
or some of the other great ones that are listed all on this YouTube thing, they don't sell tons of these units. They'll sell enough, but in general, it's to bring new players in and to get them attached to the iconic nature of being part of the Fender family, I think.
Yeah, because someone listening to Her, not necessarily a music fan, but not necessarily a guitar fan. When they say, there's a signature series Her guitar, let's check this out. Maybe I want to play guitar.
Yeah, and it's like, because we were talking earlier, it's like not as many people are like watching Jimi Hendrix that are young players.
No.
Like, I have to have that guitar.
And I mean, that's where Fender has the cool still signature series, the Hendrix Strat stuff, or
Stevie Ray Vaughan,
Clapton. They got, a David Gilmour signature series. But
a quick note on the Clapton. If you want a Clapton Strat, buy it now within the week of seeing this video, because the prices are going up next week, literally on Monday. They're doing
PSA.
Yeah, just if you're like, I'm on the fence about it, just order it right now. We have a few right now if you want that are not on the website and stuff. But in general, if you see anyone, they're going up substantially to like which I was like, well, ouch, that's crazy. So get your Claptons. So let's talk about that.
So even saying those great players, who are some of my, iconic guitar players, I still think sometimes, hear me out, the Gibson Signature Series are cooler or maybe better, regardless of which artist you like better, than some of those Fender Signature Series.
I would tend to agree across the board there. I don't want to.
I don't necessarily either, but I've never. Well, let's take the Hendrix stuff. The Hendrix Gibson SG, even though, it's a stretch to have a Hendrix SG. It's a stretch. But the guitar itself.
But we don't care.
Awesome. It's bad. Can we say that? Are we PG-13?
We're definitely PG-13.
It's badass. It's awesome. Yeah. So
I would want that guitar, hands down.
And I'd probably want it over the Hendrix Strat, even the custom shop, because if I want a Hendrix Strat, I would just want a custom shop Strat, like an Olympic white custom shop.
That is a tricky one because I mean, there's something. Well, once you get in like the Murphy Lab idea and all that, the amazing relic work that they are starting to put out now too, that he's back on board and sort of leading the charge. It's tricky. But then let's go back to like not the signature series guitars. Let's go back to the icons of Fender and Gibson. Because when we think of Gibson now, we're like, because you were started like, who's the coolest Gibson player now?
Probably Slash.
I mean, like, yeah, Slash is like, I mean, it's hard.
At least like the most out there, like well known, like he plays a Les Paul.
I mean, we all know like our greats that we love that are like Les Paul players, but everyone thinks of Slash. He's iconic. He looks amazing. He's the coolest. He is a boa constrictor.
Like if I go out on the street, most people have heard of Slash, but Gary Moore, maybe not. Pete Green,
Most people don't know Clapton played.
Most people don't know. Right? They think Clapton Strat. So. That's why we're saying Slash before you say angry things at us in the comments.
Okay.
Disclaimer.
Well, and then jump over to like, Fender's iconic. Let's stick with the Stratocaster because I kind of put that in the Les Paul sort of battle for supremacy. And like you have Jimi Hendrix. And then like it's hard to beat Jimi Hendrix.
Hard to beat Jimi Hendrix.
He has the fortunate nature of being dead before 30. So like it sort of like solidifies like your legend status. But then let's go further. So, I mean, you do have Clapton.
Got Clapton.
You have this other guy, Mysterio Vaughn. And then what about the master?
David Gilmour.
I mean, that guy has not passed away. And
is still ridiculously cool. Like, where's the negative thing about David Gilmour?
I don't think there is a negative thing about David Gilmour.
Even if people are like, I hate Pink Floyd, they still love David Gilmour's playing.
I've heard that maybe twice in my life, and that was from two idiots. Like there's like, I hate Pink Floyd. I can just say that. I mean, you can't. If you don't like Pink Floyd, that's one thing. If Pink Floyd
hate them, right?
Stinks or something, you were just don't even talk about guitar or just. Yeah. It just doesn't make sense. That's coming from someone who loves Oasis too.
So you're saying you're.
But I understand Pink Floyd is like legend status, and David Gilmour's playing it's second to none as far as his phrasing, his writing, and his tone.
I was gonna say his tone.
The tone, like it's so good, it's frustrating.
So are we saying we think Fender wins in the iconic artist Strat versus Les Paul?
You have Jimmy Page, right? Who joins over there with like I would say is like the number one legendary one to me. That's the one
and like you said, most people don't realize he also played the Telly quite often.
Right, for the first record and a half at least.
And those sweet Dan Electros.
Good Lord. I thought those were so cool when I watched the videos. And I played one once. And I was like, oh God.
How did he make this sound so amazing? Yeah.
Is this a Rickenbacker? That's what I thought when I was a kid. I didn't know the difference as a child. And it felt the same. That's a whole other story about Rickenbackers.
We'll talk about those later.
The Rickenbacker
I played a Rickenbacker over the weekend.
Oh, okay, cool.
My buddy Carl has one.
Did you love it?
It's cool. I see why they're a thing. It's definitely like a in your stable guitar.
That is coming from Jonathan Speak, but
I mean, it's not like I hated it or didn't like it. I think actually I liked it more afterwards, but it still wasn't like, oh, I have to go have a Rickenbacker,
Yeah, I don't think I'll probably ever have one. I just don't know if it's maybe if like the perfect vintage one comes along, I'm like, yes, I have to have that.
Right.
Jet glow. Right. Perfect. I love it. It's like a little bit of crackle. But
and for me, the biggest thing is it's that string space that I'd have to get.
It's weird. It's like the Telestar I have over there from Japan.
Right.
It's like this little tiny neck. So sort of like not circling back, but just continuing forward. It's strange how the iconic natures of both these lines still have those historical figures, but they're choosing completely different business directions on who they launch
totally
now.
Different routes how to get there.
And I think in sort of Fender's pushing the young guys to get new people into guitar, young guys and gals. A lot of female artists, and I think they had their first non-binary artist signature series this year as well. Tosh, right?
Yep.
And that I remember the first time I heard Tosh was when we were driving to Merlefest.
I remember that
last year. I was like, man, like that's cool music. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't know anything about the artist at that point. We're always trying to find new artists because we're old and we have to actively search or we die. Anyway, so they're doing that. Gibson is sort of like they sort of capture like the historical aspects and Slash and all these great vintage and Murphy Labs coming out. So it sort of leads me to think like as much as I love like maybe it's a collaboration between the two just to keep people in guitar. I doubt that.
I'm going to say
no. But I would like to think like Fender and Gibson's like, yes, let's work together. We'll capture this audience together, bring more people to guitar, and it'll be great, and there'll be world peace. But it's like...
It's the craziest guitar conspiracy theory you'll hear today, probably.
I mean, it was
Gibson and Fender together.
No.
Hoodwinking us all to play guitars.
It was one of the comments on
one
of our YouTube videos that really sort of spurred this thought. It was on the My Chemical Romance video, and it was this guy who was talking. He was like, I'm a 50-year-old guy, and like I love My Chemical Romance. They're the best ever, and now all I do is play blues rock. I kind of want to kill myself, sort of like that. And I was like, man, that's really funny because it's like.
Did you leave that comment?
I know, because I was laughing. We were talking about boomers and like, damn, we're boomers.
Yeah, probably.
As far as because we just sell boomer guitars and we talk about tube amps and like things that are from another generation.
That's all I want. That makes me a boomer. I'm fine.
Boomer.
I'll embrace it. So here's the question then: does a person go from Fender as a young person up to Gibson? Like, is that the natural? I think I had a few people lately in comments say, they started on Gibson and so then getting into Fender was weird for them. But I think more typically you start on a Fender or a Squier.
I think yes, but not in the way like a lot of people think is we're going to end
Right.
it. Like I think you sort of because Fender is a much more affordable entry point. Obviously, as a young player, like I'd never touched a Les Paul until I was in my 20s, probably.
And I also think for maybe not now, but for years, the Squiers I think were better than the Epiphones.
And the classic vibes are still as good as almost anything out there. So if you're on the fence about classic vibe, get a classic vibe. I don't care where you get it from, just get a classic vibe. Particularly from Andertons, if there's a Danish Pete classic vibe, get it. We had one come through the shop the other day. But I think you do, like we sort of go from Fender, and as our styles change too, like I know it's weird, like we all kind of get in like I was in punk bands and sort of harder rock bands and sort of scene type things, and then you get into this bluesy stuff, and then because you're playing by yourself primarily, and you can't like jam out to like power chords and the whole thing. And so you sort of get into some of those sweet, rich Les Paul tones, the 335s. I mean, who doesn't want a 335?
It's true.
You just bought one this year. Means you're old.
I am old. I'm fine. I'm fine with that.
Old man Johnny boy.
I'm just happy I'm not living under a bridge. So the fact that I can buy a 335, great.
I mean, you're like your whole life choice is like this close to a bridge at every moment.
And probably should have ended there, but hey, whatever.
Some of the guys that work with us like live under bridges every once in a while. Like, that's just part of the fun of it.
Nothing wrong with that.
I mean, if you live under a bridge. But no, I think you get in that Gibson for a bit, but then also, I tend to always end up back on my Strat.
Yeah.
Because I went through all the guitars last night. I was just going, I went through like 3 cores. I started off with a Les Paul, did the SG for a bit, so I'm lying, and then I did Tele, then Strat, and I always end up back on the Strat's like, I feel it most at home here.
Right.
Because that is where I started.
Yeah.
So if you're lucky enough to start on Les Paul, maybe that's where you end up at the end.
Well, I mean, as excited as I get about the 335, because I'm still in the honeymoon phase, right? Like I love it and I play it, but then some nights I still want to pick up Strat or a Tele. In fact, the other night I was recording some stuff with Sean and I never plugged in anything but the Tele. Brought the 335 with the intention of using it, but the Tele was just so comfortable and it sounded amazing. And
it is so in there in a weird way, you're just gonna have all of them.
Buy all the guitars.
No, I mean you will. You'll have. I mean, because the Gibson and Fender obviously have the historical legacy of electric guitar.
Right.
Like there's no one else, and that's another boomer thing to say, but they were there at the birth of rock and roll, and so and all through the greatest times, and so those tones and those feelings, and even watching the images as a younger person, I see them today. Like they want to capture that, and they don't necessarily want to do that through another piece that doesn't have that same feeling and sound and build.
And I mean, there are probably players out there who bypass this whole conversation we're having, and they like play, an ESP or a Jackson or an Ibanez. They've never gone through any of these things, and they're probably better players than all of us. But
if you're in the progressive music in particular,
the metal stuff or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's no, because I mean, a lot of people don't want to go through like the Fender and the fight of Gibson,
right?
Because there's a little bit of fight and pull, and that's part of what the play that I like though myself when I'm playing a Strat or even versus a Tele. I feel like the Tele's a harder thing to play, but it's also easier in the fact that I can have those open pedal tones ringing without the bends going up a half step when I do that, because I do lots of open D.
I do think there's a point naturally in your guitar playing life for me, right, where like your team Fender or your team Gibson, But you have this moment, hopefully, where you realize there is nothing better than someone playing a Tele or Strat with a Les Paul or like a 335 or an SG. I mean, that's sort of like nirvana. That's tone.
It is when you have like that collaboration too of like, you know, Rhythm Guy's got his Tele on and there's like a Les Paul soaring the leads out, or it's just it never ends. I'm sorry. So where did we start? What did we start? What did we
I don't know. The name of this video is Jonathan and Baxter Ramble about guitars, which is really every video, but hey.
No,
whatever.
well, we were having a little fun here because we were talking about so many subjects this morning and topics, and we're like, let's just talk about them all. And like have a long video. So like, hope you've enjoyed your time with us and your cup of coffee. It's probably cold by now. I don't know, but it's fascinating. We've had a fun journey in life.
We have.
I'm not dying yet, but you know, I'm sure soon.
Absolutely soon.
I'm very old, and my wife has not much patience left for me.
She could murder you.
I fully
like
expect
slowly,
that.
like she could be poisoning you slowly.
That's
I'm not saying she is. I'm just saying
it's a high probability.
it would account for some of the hair things.
Yeah.
Or the gray in my beard. It could be, you know, that could be what Christy's doing to me. I don't know.
I think I might do the beard again just for fun. It was
I
so
like
much
the
fun.
beard.
I'm gonna do it just a little bit of it.
Vote in the comments. Should Baxter clean, happy Baxter, stubble Baxter, or fully bearded Baxter?
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I'm not confident enough to let you guys vote on my facial
Let's vote
hair.
on Jonathan's beard. Should we do the Fu Manchu?
See? No.
But Jonathan has a beard endorsement deal, so he can't actually cut his beard or he would lose that endorsement deal. So
TheBeardStruggle.com. JR Music 15% off.
We were kidding. That was a real thing. Oh, God, it's embarrassing.
I'd almost forgotten about that. I hope they don't watch this video.
They don't watch any of your videos.
They don't care about me.
No, they just give you money and a beard product.
Yeah.
But let us know about your journey with the guitars and what you think about Fenders, sort of like doing some lifting and helping Gibson along the way. Like, and just they're all helping. The rising tides helps them all, and we think it's awesome to watch what Bob Taylor's done across the board. To watch what I think the guitar companies collaborate more than we think in a very positive way,
which is good.
Too.
It helps everyone.
And just to bring more players, and that's how I think world peace happens. Gosh, I'm stupid.
So let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know what you think about the whole Gibson Fender thing. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bell so you don't miss more conversations like this. Don't forget to vote on Baxter's special hair. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks.